Hey everybody, it's Dana with CoachDanaInspires.com, and I am so excited for today's interview on business inspiration. For those of you who don't know me, I am an entrepreneur coach for women entrepreneurs and small business owners. I help them find their value. I also help them find their perfect fit for a client, and then we get together and we work together to make those clients even more successful. And so we are excited today to have a special guest. And that special guest today happens to be Sue Bingham, and she is with HPWP Group. She is the founder of this group, and we are excited that you're here, Susan. You are, your company does so many fabulous things and works with so many people with great ideas. And I think that's really what drew me to you and your energy and what you do. So before we really jump into these things, please tell our viewers, what does HPWP mean in the name of your company?
It stands for High Performance Workplace. I know workplace is usually one word, but we've made it two. Despite that, every editor that's looked at articles I've written has tried to correct it, but that's how we branded it.
I like it. I think it's absolutely wonderful. And it tells us exactly what you do for us as business owners. So let's just start off. How are you? How's your family? Everybody okay?
We are great. It's been a year that has been tough business-wise because most of what we do is very exponential or experiential rather. It's hands-on and it's in person and it's all the synergy and energy that comes from that. And we've tried to do some things virtually and it's been okay. But most of our clients are now saying, hey, when are you going to get back to doing the public workshop? So
right.
We're about to do that. But we've taken this year to learn, which has been great. There's so much free information on the web.
Oh, yeah.
And so we've signed up for all kinds of things to read and learn, and we're focused on the future of work and expanding what we do.
Excellent. Absolutely. And so you are talking to your clients and other business leaders. Now that we've been over a year in this COVID thing, what are you hearing? Are people positive? Are people still a little pessimistic? What do you hear out there?
It's really a mixed bag. I think most people are positive, but I don't know. I haven't heard enough of the side that's not. I think there are struggles. And the biggest thing that we just keep saying is this has been an opportunity to fast forward toward more flexible work. And, that's been needed for a long time. This has forced it. So I think it's been a good thing. And I think as long as companies keep viewing it as a good thing, that'll be great.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's made people think out of the box. That is one thing that has happened. And I think that's a good thing and a positive thing. So what can we as entrepreneurs, small business owners, what can we do right now to sort of keep moving forward in a really positive direction?
Boy, this is so important. And I think as it relates to entrepreneurs, it's probably what they do already. But entrepreneurs and business owners need to remember and keep in mind a couple of truths. And one is that the vast majority of people, we say 95% of people who work with them are good, responsible adults and should be treated as adults, which means listening, finding win-wins to situations, and remembering that one size doesn't fit all. They should, what I definitely want them to not do, and this applies more to the larger businesses, is to, just avoid trying to make more policies about how we're going to regulate the workplace. We need to be flexible and fluid for the future.
Got it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so what can we do? We're here, we're now, and when you talk about creating a high performance work environment, so how does that affect us? What do we do, and how do you create that?
Well, there's still a lot of command and control management. Not again so much in the entrepreneurial field, at least that I've seen. I've dealt with quite a few entrepreneurs, and they just struggle with the growth and how to manage. We help them not to overstructure. For entrepreneurs, don't overstructure. All the things that made you successful when you were small will continue to make you good as you grow. So that's for entrepreneurs. And for large business owners, there's got to be flexibility. That we are not going to be able to attract. The technology and the workforce has changed so much that we're not going to be able to attract people if we can't offer a great place to work, which means being treated respectfully, having people be flexible, being agile, listening, opening the door to creativity, all those kinds of things that people profess they do, businesses profess they do. But I've got to tell you, in my 40 years of experience, I've read a lot of mission statements and a lot of visions and a lot of values that were pretty hard to find were being lived.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you think that since a lot of our viewers, I mean, our viewers come from every single corner of the world and from different kinds of companies and businesses. Some are owners, some work for people, some have large companies, small companies. So is there one little one thing out of that comment that you made that's really the most important? Is it the flexibility? Is it the don't overstart? What do you think we should be looking at?
I think that, it gets back down to what your assumptions about people are, which is one of the elements we talk about. You need to operate with positive assumptions about people, and that means taking some risk, because there are that small percent out there who are going to take advantage, but they're probably going to take advantage of you anyway. We like to say that is going to cost you, whether they're inside the organization or whether you get them out. They're just bad news. So it's really not letting that group drive an organization's behavior, practices, policies, leadership.
Right. And a little earlier, you were talking about don't create policies. What? Don't we all just run on policies? Aren't those like so critical in our organizations? What do you mean, don't create policies?
Well, an awful lot of policy manuals I've seen, and these I'm not talking standard operating procedures or safety manuals. I'm talking about employment policy books. They are this thick.
Yeah.
And they're filled with language that is condescending, legalese, and expects the worst behavior. You even look at the fact that if you get a handbook or you get your employee handbook when you start a job, they ask you to sign it. Why does the company ask you to sign it? Especially when I know, and we all know, that they haven't had a chance to read it. We have them sign it so that if they ever break a rule, one of the many rules that are in there, they ever break that rule, then they say, well, I didn't know about that. We say, oh, yes, you did. You signed this policy and it's here on page 78. It's trapping people. Who wants to work in that environment? So we get rid of tons of policies. We get rid of all the work rule policies that are silly and demeaning, and we just expect everyone to act in the best interest of the company and their fellow employees. That's our one rule, our one standard of conduct. And when people don't, then we have a problem-solving discussion that's adult to adult. And we look to that adult to come up with a solution. And sometimes that solution may be, this isn't the right job for me.
Yep.
Or these are expectations I don't want to meet. I don't feel I can meet. Okay, we can separate amicably, but this whole we they thing is a little crazy.
Absolutely. And I can't tell you, when I worked in the corporate world, I have signed a couple of those manuals, and I've always, they say, okay, so you're signing here, and it says I acknowledge that I have received and read, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
but I didn't read.
I haven't read it yet. What are you talking about? You know? So yeah, it's I love those, and I like that you acknowledge the fact that most people they get their little manuals and they throw it in the desk.
Right.
How often do we actually read those silly things? And I think there's some value in, you know, oh, here's the holiday policy or here's the
Yes.
vacation policy. All that's
Sure.
good, but I like what your your direction is. We're all adults and we should all be working for the betterment, yes, of the company, but of our department, of our fellow employees. And that just helps us. You know, it's a trickle down effect. It's a win, 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 everybody.
It is. It is. And while most people aren't as offended as I am because I'm so tuned into those policies, most people aren't as offended. They're used to it. That's what they've seen. They've signed them before. The reality of it is that once you've been exposed to a culture that treats you with respect, that doesn't have those kinds of, you know, there'll be no horseplay, don't bring weapons to work, all those kinds of things that, you know we shouldn't do. And that if somebody did it, that would be wrong. You know, it just basic stuff. That's the kind of thing that once you've seen and lived in an environment like that, a high performance workplace like that, you never want to go back
Oh
to
yeah,
all the traditional stuff.
absolutely. And it's just unfortunate that there's, it seems to be the larger companies, the larger corporations, that they feel that they have to have these manuals. They have to have everything, you know, ticked off and written down. And big company or little company, if we look at people in that way, we're adults and
I
we're
keep,
here.
yeah, I keep saying because a lot against all take advice from attorneys, which they should. Attorneys can add, you know, what degree of risk are you creating if you do this or if you do that and so on. The problem is that the the attorneys have gotten the human resource profession so locked into it's our job to save the company, and to do that we've got to have all these rules, and they've got to, you know, we got to treat everybody the same. I mean, I couldn't disagree with the comment, we've got to treat everybody the same, because nobody's the same, no situation is the same. And what happened to the fact that we're paying leaders for judgment? You know, if we just need people to follow a policy, we can have robots.
Yes,
So we want people to use judgment. We want them to think. We want them to evaluate. We want them to be fair. But that doesn't mean treating everybody the same. So our biggest obstacle typically, and I come from this field, is the human resources field, because they've been so pushed that their key role they have is to defend the company against any kind of lawsuit or things like that. And the attorneys have told them that it's this big policy manual, and then adhering strictly to it is what they have to do to protect the company. So it's we're I haven't we're working hard to get away from that.
absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you oh so much for doing that. The world will be a better place for that. So, you know, you were talking about, you know, managers making judgments, and isn't that what we're paying these managers to do? So, if you have individual managers making decisions, um, it's, that may be different in different circumstances. Doesn't that open the company up to some, you
It
know,
does.
legal action?
It opens them up to risk, not near as much risk as they think.
Okay.
Particularly the better culture you have, the lower risk you have, period. If there's some risk, there's risk getting out of bed in the morning.
Well, yeah.
The problem with not having some tolerance for risk is that we end up with a culture that doesn't value people, and we treat everybody the same. So the problem is we can look at a big lawsuit or a, you know, 1 in a million awards that's, you know, in the seven figures, and people panic, and you can sort of say, oh, well, that's the risk. But they're not looking at the risk in terms of productivity, quality, creativity, loyalty.
Right.
Loyalty and all the experience that people bring when they've been with a company for a while.
Yeah.
They're not looking at the fact that they're sacrificing that by treating them like a number.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that sometimes when you allow managers to make decisions, the people who work for them, you know, if the manager is treating you with respect and
Yeah.
you know, kindness, and as an adult, I want to work harder for you. I want to do better for you. I'm
Me
here
too.
going, man, I like that Sue. She treats me like I have a brain cell, you know, that's still functioning. So I want to come in and go, hey Sue, look what I did. And you're like, man, that's a great idea. Wow, you know, that's what people are really, I think that's what people want. I think they're hungry for that.
I
You see
think
that?
of course they're hungry for it. You know, there've been all the surveys and so on, but the real thing, if you want people to go home feeling good at night, is they need to feel valued. They need to feel like what they've done has value, and that's just not been a priority for companies. Again, we focus too much on, you know, are we treating everybody the same, and so on. So yeah, you're going to get different managers. Back to your question, you're going to get different managers who, in their judgment, make a decision that's different than a peer might make. One of the ways we deal with that, though, is by having regular meetings when you're starting with this kind of a philosophy, where the managers are meeting at least once a week and talking about issues they've got. And through that dialogue, they all get better. They all get wiser page, and they all become a lot more of a team. So you know, it's not hard. It's just that it typically isn't done. We have all kinds of meetings on everything but employee issues.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right about that, aren't you? Okay. This is such great information. And so Sue, you've written a book, haven't you? And do you have that there that you could show us?
I do. Do you want me to show it to you?
Our viewers would love to see the front of that book, Creating the High Performance Workplace. And what's the subtitle on there?
The subtitle is, It's Not Complicated to Create a Culture of Commitment.
Absolutely. That is so fantastic. And this book, I've seen a copy of it, and I haven't read the whole thing cover to cover yet, but I have read some of it, and I will tell you, great tips, great information, and very well written. I really do enjoy it. So I'll put the name of the book in our text so that our viewers can see that, and they can go look it up and read it, because it is a really good read. And so do you have one last little tidbit that you want to just toss out there that maybe you've already touched on, or you just want to beef it up a little bit, or something that you haven't said yet, just to give us a little kick out the door?
I think a little kick would be that when we started doing this 40 years ago, it was very non-traditional. Unfortunately, it's still non-traditional 40 years later. And yet everything has advanced so quickly. And as we've studied the future of work, it is going to be absolutely required, especially for the large companies, because more and more people are going to break off. There's one company I know that they've lost 4 of their senior, most creative people because of the bureaucracy, and they weren't being heard. And so they went and started their own companies, and it's in competition. So we're going to see more and more entrepreneurs coming up in the future, and they're going to be challenging the slowness of the big companies and the bureaucracy that's inherent in that. So my words of wisdom would be, create an environment of trust, one where you really listen to people, and you can't go wrong.
Yeah. Excellent. So excellent. Thank you, Sue. You have just been a little bureau of great information. And I hope our viewers go take a look at the book, take a look at your website, HPWPgroup.com, and see what Sue and her group does. It is really unbelievable good work, as one of my friends would say. And what I'd like to do is let me share with our viewers how to get a hold of you, Sue. And here is your email address, phone number, and the website. So I hope everybody has enjoyed this information and you want some more of it, because this has been good stuff. So go ahead, contact Sue. She is the most humble and giving and kind person in business that you would ever want to run into. So this is her information. And if I can ever be of service to you, if you want to find out about coaching or speaking, that's my information down there. So I am always here to answer your questions. So Sue, I would just want to say thank you again for this great information that you've shared with us. I think our viewers really needed to hear this, and we need to put some more trust and more compassion into our workplaces. And I think you really point that out.
I want to do just a real quick thing for you too. I've done dozens of podcasts. I enjoy interacting with you the most. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I enjoy when I have a guest like you. It's like, woo woo, I have hit the jackpot. So this has been a really great time. And so everybody out there, until next Tuesday, we'll see you on Business Inspiration. If it's okay with you, I will put the name of the book I'll put the name of the book in our text so that our viewers can see that, and they can go look it up and read it, because it is a really good read. And so do you have one last little tidbit that you want to just toss out there that maybe you've already touched on, or you just want to beef it up a little bit, or something that you haven't said yet, just to give us a little kick out the door?
I think a little kick would be that when we started doing this 40 years ago, it was very non-traditional. Unfortunately, it's still non-traditional 40 years later. And yet everything has advanced so quickly. And as we've studied the future of work, it is going to be absolutely required, especially for the large companies, because more and more people are going to break off. There's one company I know that they've lost 4 of their senior, most creative people because of the bureaucracy, and they weren't being heard. And so they went and started their own companies, and it's in competition. So there's going to be, we're going to see more and more entrepreneurs coming up in the future. And they're going to be challenging the slowness of the big companies and the bureaucracy that's inherent in that. So my words of wisdom would be create an environment of trust, one where you really listen to people and you can't go wrong.
Yeah. Excellent. So excellent. Thank you. Sue, you have just been a little bureau of great information, and I hope our viewers go take a look at the book, take a look at your website, HPWPgroup.com, and see what Sue and her group does. It is really unbelievable good work, as one of my friends would say. And what I'd like to do is let me share with our viewers how to get a hold of you, Sue. And here is your email address, phone number, and the website. So I hope everybody has enjoyed this information and you want some more of it, because this has been good stuff. So go ahead, contact Sue. She is the most humble and giving and kind person in business that you would ever want to run into. So this is her information. And if I can ever be of service to you, if you want to find out about coaching or speaking, that's my information down there. So I am always here to answer your questions. So Sue, I would just want to say thank you again for this great information that you've shared with us. I think our viewers really needed to hear this, and we need to put some more trust and more compassion into our workplaces. And I think you really point that out.
I want to do just a real quick thing for you too. I've done dozens of podcasts. I enjoy interacting with you the most. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I enjoy when I have a guest like you. It's like woo woo. I have hit the jackpot. So this has been a really great time. And so everybody out there, until next Tuesday, we'll see you on Business Inspiration.
Thank you.